All right. Now I'm wearing a lot of hats today, so it's time to go to back, like just being a host here. I think that's what I enjoy doing, and let's proceed with the first session today on litigation in the digital age, challenges and opportunities. We have our moderator, Ugochukwu Eze, Senior Counsel, Dentons, ACAS-Law, Nigeria, with our panelists, Dr. Abad Al-Majid Isa, General Legal Counsel, Elite Legal Consultancy Firm, UAE, Greg McFlaren, Managing Director, Morai, USA, Olamide Elishnioy, Senior Associate, Udo Uduma, and Bella Osagia, Nigeria, and Prashant Shah, CMO and Director, Team Nest Employee Services Private Limited, India.
Good morning. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this panel session on litigation in the digital age, challenges and opportunities. Before you, gentlemen and the lady who are involved in deep cross-border litigation and have used technology to advance their work or are providing technology solutions to other law firms and to their clients. My name is Ugochukwu Eze, as the host has said. I'm a senior counsel in Dentons. I practice out of Africa. I do cross-border litigation and arbitration, intellectual property, shipping, and taxation. To start, let's give the panelists the opportunity to introduce themselves, tell us what they do, and what they think about the topic. I note that we've had several discussions here in the previous sessions on the adoption of technology in litigation. Do you think there are points to note as we go into this session this morning? Thank you.
Morning, everyone. My name is Olamide Aleshinloye. I forgive the host. I am a senior associate with Udo Udoma and Bello Osagie. I am a litigator, arbitrator, liquidator also. I practice from Nigeria, Lagos, Nigeria, and I also do corporate advisory, compliance and investigations, and IP practice as well. So more like those are the areas in which I practice. For my law firm, we've been around for 41 years. And we have a deep bench of expertise in 21 practice areas spanning from private equity, mergers and acquisition, competition in Nigeria, fintech, banking and finance, and a lot more, employment law, and corporate establishment practice. Thank you. I don't know whether to give time to everyone to introduce themselves first before I address the question. Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm Dr. Abdul Majid Awad Isa. I am General Legal Counsel of Elite Legal Consultancy based here in Dubai. Our office is working for arbitration, litigations, and contracts, especially smart contract and AI law. Thank you so much.
Good morning. My name is Greg McFarlane. I'm a managing director at Moray Global. We are a global legal consultancy that works in cooperation with, rather in competition to, lawyers who are both in-house and also outside counsel. There isn't anything that we can't assist with, but we primarily work in four major channels: business consulting, document management, managed services, and the division in which I work, which is investigations, e-discovery, and cyber. We're an organization that offers advice or can take action or a mixture of either of those to help you solve your challenges. We utilize technology, process, and people to help you find more of what you're looking for in less time, with fewer headaches and less risk, and at a lower cost. For myself, an attorney by training, practiced for about 7 years, but for the last 15 plus, I've been focused on utilizing technology to improve the legal practice, and I'm very honored and excited to be part of this panel and with you all today.
Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Prashant Shah. Well, that photograph is of my other co-founder, so I don't look like him. We founded this company called Lex Legis AI. I'm sure you must have seen a lot of interaction on that. My role out here is of the husband, right? The husband-wife. So I take care of raising funds and the revenue, while my other co-founders spend a lot of money on AI. So that's what I do at Lex Legis. And I think before we start, a lot of us have been hearing about DeepSeek, right? 1 trillion down in markets, 0.5 trillion down for NVIDIA. So guys, I think today as we speak about it, AI is actually very cheap, is what we figured out from China, right? It's going to be 90% of what they are rolling out, 90% of what is being offered by the existing GPT models, and 2x times accuracy. So that's how, and you don't require so much of GPU space or the hardware. So we are waking up to a reality where AI is going to hit us much faster. I heard someone talking about 10, 15 years. Well, we are looking at 1 or 2 years when things are going to change. So I think this is a great session, and wake up to the realities.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. As you can see, it's a power-packed panel. Yes, so throughout our discussions yesterday and even this morning, it's been technology, technology, technology. Are there points you feel that there are things you feel we could speak to, especially in terms of litigation, particularly courtroom practice, justice administration, the court system, and even our law practice?
I'm happy to jump in first, because there are 3 things that were said on the stage yesterday that I'd like to discuss. The first one being the following statement: AI is dangerous. Now, for the past 15 years, I've focused my career on technology, and for the last 5 or 6, that's mostly meant AI. And so it may be a bit of a surprise for me to say that I agree with that statement 100%. AI is inherently dangerous. But I want to address it, and I want to start here, because I think even though that's 100% true, it needs some context. And without context, that statement becomes certainly unhelpful and maybe even misleading, because yes, it's true, AI is dangerous, but the automobile is also very dangerous. The automobile is very dangerous, but like AI, it is incredibly useful. And so we don't run from that danger, but instead, we run toward the safety. We run towards taking a programmatic approach to driving that renders it both safe and effective. So how do we do this in the world of driving? Well, the first thing is we offer new drivers education. We teach them about the road. We teach them how to operate a vehicle. We have certifications. We have a licensure process to make sure that everybody who gets behind the wheel of a car has the requisite knowledge and skill to do so. We regulate. We have rules of the road that regulate how fast and where we drive. And these best practices are governed by regulations and police to monitor the roads and ensure that these drivers who have the requisite knowledge and skill follow these safe procedures. This programmatic approach to safety applies not just to the drivers, but to the vehicles as well. We want to register and we want to inspect all the cars to make sure that we know what's traveling on the road and that we believe that it's roadworthy. And when you do all of these things, when you take this programmatic approach to driving, you take this inherently dangerous activity and you render it safe and effective, and basically we can't do without it. And so one of the things that I want to say to this room is we can acknowledge that there's danger in AI, but we cannot run from it. Instead, we have to take a programmatic approach to make sure that we understand the technology, what it does, what it doesn't do, and the dangers that lie within. And I think it's also important to think about, on any legal challenge, what is it that we're doing and what does done look like? Not just in terms of AI, but in terms of the challenge. And when we do those two things, when we understand the technology and we understand where we want to go, then we can apply good, safe, vetted process to help us get there. And we can do it as safely as we drive to our local grocery store in the car. And this brings me to the second comment that was set up on the stage that I want to address. And like the first, I agree with it 100%, but I think it needs a little bit of context. And that's the statement that AI will not replace lawyers. Yes, I agree with that, but I'm not convinced it's a very helpful statement because I don't know anybody who's trying to move lawyers out of the practice of law, and I don't know anybody who sees that on the horizon. And so my suggestion to the room is a more interesting assertion to ponder rather than the question, will AI replace lawyers, is the following. Lawyers who adopt AI will absolutely replace lawyers who do not adopt AI. You have to make no mistake that AI will win because you get better work product in less time at greater margins. It will win because it's better work product, less money for the consumer, more profit for the firm. You cannot compete in a world where you're walking and everybody else is driving. And so this brings me to the last statement that I think is worthy of mentioning from yesterday. Your colleague Sakar said this, and unlike the other two, I agree with it 100% with no qualification, and that's the statement that AI will reduce mediocrity in the practice of law. The typewriter made us better, the word processor made us better, online legal research databases made us better, and AI will absolutely make us all better in the courtroom as practitioners and in the boardroom as business people. And so I'm excited for this panel to talk a little bit in depth about how it's doing this today, but I'd also encourage and I hope to have this conversation next week and beyond with the friends I met yesterday and the friends I hope to meet today.
Yeah.
Thank you, Greg. I think those are very great contributions you've made regarding what we've heard here yesterday. So I'm just going to basically talk about the impact of the digital age on litigation. And in that regard, I will be talking about how it has affected our practice, especially in Africa and particularly, in Nigeria. I don't think there's anyone in the room or even in Africa who hasn't heard of AI or at least ChatGPT. And so in our daily practice, even on our phones, we're able to access it and are able to prompt it, command it to assist our texting, our drafting and the likes of those. But generally, the adoption of technology in litigation in Nigeria is moving from the place of reluctance in acceptance to an adoption stage. In terms of court practice, we have seen in the past where the judges are not welcoming, of technology, but with the impact, with COVID-19 being a catalyst, that changed. because we did not have access to the courtrooms. So the advent of virtual hearings and, the adoption of the likes of practice directions from the ancestral and, the other types of arbitral institutions were what was followed quickly, by the judiciary in Nigeria. So we had all those ad hoc practice directions coming very much quickly during the COVID period. And since COVID is behind us, we have taken more of a liberal approach in the judiciary in terms of adopting technology. We're able to now use take virtual hearings. We're still hoping to have a fully digitized system of the courtrooms, but essentially I would say we're welcoming of technology. In our legal practice, I think I mentioned earlier that we all have this the AI tools on our phones, but much more than that, even before the advent of AI, in Nigeria, I know we have solutions, both local and international, that serves our legal practice. Greg has spoken about his work, what he's currently doing, the solution is providing, and we have those sort of solutions as well. I don't want to mention brands that have assisted our private practice, in Nigeria and generally in Africa. So I believe that this is a very, very relevant topic in terms of litigation, and might I add, in terms of even arbitration practice. Thank you.
Yeah. I think that's, I totally agree with my colleague who talked about this is digital era, but for myself, I think now our era is dominated by digital technology, specifically AI, and also litigation process. I think should be better to evolve. To be able to match this is this is a fasting digital era, and also to match with AI, what is evolving now. And now I think it's also the reality that is AI is here. AI is around us. Is that affect all our work, our sectors, just for legal, medical, everything. But now, how can we do to deal with this? Is that new technology? For me, it is important for us to regulate, to match our regulations, laws with this is that is AI, because this AI will not stop, and also engineers society will not stop to evolve or to develop the AI process. And today we are seeing some AI for litigation, for arbitration. Next time we will see AI will do other things. That is why, for myself, I think how to deal with this issue. I think the AI now, if you look at within the last 3 years, the AI helped the legal process for efficiency, for data analysis, and also for for hearing. If you see that now, we are using AI for hearing from anywhere. You can for example, here in Dubai, from anywhere you can manage your case as a lawyer. And then this is also helpful for our clients to do that for that. But if you see that here, for example, here in Dubai, the court is using a smart litigation process, or smart process for civil procedures. This one, you can manage your case from anywhere and your client. And also, there is UAE also amended the 2 laws, evidence laws, procedure laws, last 2 years. This one, I think, to be matched with AI development. But now, how can we see that? We see that now if you see for efficiency, if you compare for efficiency for legal process, legal litigation, within these 2 years and before 2020, we will see that different. For example, here, if you see the record here, the court here, thousands of cases has been decided within the last 2 years. But before that, is a few cases decided. That is why, because they're using remote litigation, and also for remote arbitration, also or smart arbitration in the DIAC or other here in UAE Center. That is why I think for us as a lawyer, as I agree with my colleague here, we say that AI anymore will not replace lawyers' working. But take care, AI will affect lawyer legal offices, because now we have physical office. Physical office here in any cities. Clients will come to you, will address his case, and he can manage his case. But now we have virtual legal offices. That is virtual legal offices, you can contact with them from anywhere. If you are staying in USA, you want to say in Nigeria, say anywhere, you have a case in Dubai, you can contact with him with a virtual office. That is why virtual office will impact of our physical offices. That is why I think this is what the impact. But now, for lawyers, I think everybody don't worry about that is AI doing something, reading, analysis, ChatGPT. No. This will not affect, because AI, for me, AI anymore will not introduce legal insights or legal opinion. If you see that ChatGPT, that is something like that, if you ask him for anything, he will say that, oh, please go to legal advisor to get advice. Also, if he asks about any cases, he will, for example, last year, UAE here amended evidence law, 1923. For me, I asked it, please tell me about evidence law in UAE. He told me about evidence law in UAE 1994. Because I asked again, he says that, oh, we updated our information last year. That is why within 1 year, they don't have any information. That is why take care about new regulations, new laws, new rules. That is why AI will not replace lawyer, just because cannot make an opinion or cannot follow. It cannot follow the law, the regulations, the amendment of law, of everything now.
Great.
Thanks.
Thank you for that. Just quickly to add, I don't want to really give advice, but I just want to experience share, because I'll just throw in some numbers. And why do we require digitization in litigation, right? So we have almost, in India, the systems there are like 25 to 26 high courts. There are 672 district courts and 17,000 sub-courts. Almost 15 lakh or 1.5 million lawyers, out of that 90% doing litigation. So if, these are the backlogs which we are talking about, almost 40 million cases and 100 million cases still to enter the system. So there is no other option but to have digitization to ensure that we have faster litigations, ensuring that the litigations are taken care of, right? I have so many use cases which we've been talking to the government, but maybe, that I can share in the next question. But these are the facts, right? Without technology, we'll not be able to solve all these problems. These are the huge numbers I'm talking about.
That's a really good point, too. One of the things that I noticed yesterday is that we talked a lot about AI in the context of ChatGPT, which meant we talked a lot about motion drafting. And one of the things that I would suggest to the room is to bring your imagination to the process, because yes, that's a use case, and yes, there's value there, but there is an entire spectrum of use cases for AI. And I think throughout this panel, we really should address some of them, maybe not in depth, but at least so that it gets creative juices flowing.
So let me just give you a quick example, right? So suppose you have someone who walks in your office, right? And he wants to discuss a case with you. All he has to do is talk about it, you record it, and that's a voice which can be converted using technology or AI into notes. Or I would go a step further. he's probably got some handwritten document. You use an OCR technology to convert that into some kind of a case, and post that you can actually do a drafting and summarize the document. So that's how the AI, you can actually draft up the entire case using AI. So this is the use case which we're talking about, to just form up in terms of litigation. Yeah, that's what we are actually doing. That's what our product is all about. Converting voice, that's one of the features, converting voice and text using OCR technology. And believe me, it can be as rudimentary. So we have, in India, there are 22 languages and 19,500 dialects. So now convert those into English or any other languages is something you need technology, and that's what we do.
If you used people for that, it would take far more time.
Much more.
Far more money, and maybe it doesn't get done because of that. So I'll add another use case on top of it. Many of us are litigators, and we might be creating transcript summaries. We might have a paralegal that we ask to do that, and that's somebody who spends 3 hours on that. Maybe it costs the client $500. With generative AI, in less than 20 minutes for a cost of less than $75, we can have that summary created. Now that paralegal's working on other work, and oftentimes the client will not pay for these summaries, so they don't happen. Well, now the lawyer has the work, the client is happy to pay for it, the paralegal's doing more interesting work. This is only goodness that comes from it, and that's just one. We'll talk about a lot of other use cases that are even more exciting.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much for that contribution. I think we should go a step further to look at the problems. Yes, we all want to adopt technology, and we are already adopting it in various forms and degrees. But what are the problems? Are we likely to see situations where AI is now used to predict the personalities of judges or the judgments that come out of courts? Are we likely to see uneven adoption in terms of, especially I would address this first part of the question to Olamide. What are the challenges of adoption of legal technology in Africa, also in terms of the amenities are available, also in terms of predictability of our court systems, and so on?
Thank you, Ugo. I'm going to answer that question with experiences. So someone asked me to put on ChatGPT a question, to ask ChatGPT, what do you know about me? That simple question. You can all take the test in the room. What do you know about me? And I was surprised. ChatGPT has information about me being a lawyer, the fact that I like precision, attention to detail. It reeled out my profile to me, and that was quite surprising. That's on a personal note. Also knows that I work in Udodoma and Belo Sagie, and it's surprising that that much data is what's been saved, in the clouds or with ChatGPT. And so that experience shaped the framework that I knew about anomalizing data that you provide to AI tools like ChatGPT. And that right there is a challenge. We are in the wake of data privacy practice. We're in the wake of clients having concerns about the data or the information that they provide us with, and how those data, there wouldn't be any breach of those. And so that's one of the challenges that we face in our work. So you are able to anomalize, but how much more can you anomalize that ChatGPT, for instance, will not be able to figure out the name of your client? You anomalize, you do your best, but you have to disclose, for instance, in your prompt that you're working for, or that the text is about, or the work is about a pharmaceutical company, And so the narrative can deduce who your client is, for instance, in that way. So that's one of the challenges. There is the issue of data privacy that we're dealing with, and the fact that even cloud computing, cloud coverage, that's what we adopt, for instance, in Nigeria. We're able to save up our documents on G Drive. You know, we have technology that we've adopted that has been localized, even in fact for office use. And so
where the issues with hacking happens, we have trainings on social engineering that we take at least twice in a year in the firm-wide, but you know there's still the risk of those breaches happening once in a while. So there is that, and that is in terms of private practice. Now with the judiciary or with the courtroom system, we are lacking in infrastructure, which is very important. There is a big difference between what goes on in my office and what I encounter in the courtrooms. You know, you are all pumped up, ready to go, and all of those, and then you get to court. You find you're before a judge, for instance, who does not is still writing in longhand, and you have to really pause for them to capture what you're saying. You know, maybe you are adumbrating and the likes of those, and you just have to keep pausing, and you know that can affect your flow of thoughts. But if everything was digitized, you have teleprompters, you have recorders that can assist the work, and if the judge likes, they can always go back to that. There is also the issue that we have with technical provisions in our regulations, in our laws. We have in the Evidence Act of Nigeria, for instance, issues with admissibility of electronically generated documents. And you will be amazed how many case laws have erupted based on this provision. The provision says you must file a certificate, what you call a certificate of authenticity, you know, in court before you can use those documents. And you'll be surprised that when you get to court and you do not file this certificate, just a one-pager, the problem is that your opponent, your adversary, who probably is not interested in going on in court that day, will raise objections that you did not file the certificate, and then you're unable to go on for the day. Whereas we know that what I am putting before the court, or the evidence I want to present to the court, is probably even publicly available information, something you can check up on Google on your phone. But because of this requirement, it has put a clog in how we are able to do our work. So there's that, where you have adversaries who are unable to align on the same page with you, you know, in terms of moving things forward with your work. So there's that. Also, we have issues with the challenges. One of the challenges also is with my apologies, internet connectivity. That's an issue. We have the likes of May 1, you know, and all those ISPs who are able to provide data accessibility, internet connection. But problem is with bandwidth. For instance, if you're having meetings in Africa, you have the lags once in a while, you know, and you are unable to maybe even hear on the other side. I know I'd say it's a general issue, but in terms of strength, bandwidth, and all, it's somewhat of an issue still in Nigeria. So there is that, and there is also the reduced access to internet connectivity. So if we're talking digital era, if we're talking digital age, and you do not have access to internet, I don't think that you can really function as you would love. So after yesterday's yesterday's conference, I had meetings with partners in Afridi and Angel, and I was very overwhelmed by the thoughts that we shared regarding how very digitized practice here in the UAE is. You know, you don't even have to file any paperwork, but in Africa, you're still doing e-filing. We do the e-filing, but it's double work. You are filing at the e-filing system. They have a case management system that they've also adopted, but they rarely use. So you're doing double the work. You are printing,
you are filing online, and you still have to print and take to the courtrooms. So that right there is another challenge. But I'm certain that over time we are evolving, and it can only get better. Thank you.
Ola, if I could, before you move on to the next question, Ugo, one of the things that I think I heard as subtext implicit in your question, Ugo, is there a problem with relying on AI? You mentioned relying on AI to predict outcomes. And what I would say is, yeah, there probably is a problem with relying on it, but I instantly thought of an old boss that I had that was a great mentor, and when I would screw something up, he would tell me, Greg, more often than not, your weaknesses are just your strengths overdone. And so to the extent that part of that question focuses on relying on AI, it is a strength, don't overdo it. You just mentioned other work processes. Make sure that you're verifying rather than trusting. Make sure that you're using the full spectrum of workflows and not just blindly relying on AI to do the job for you. Then it's a gain.
Yeah. Just to add, okay, so you know what? I think in this room we've been talking for even yesterday and today. AI is equal to ChatGPT. You know, there are more than 0.5 million AI tools which are there because it was the first mover. We keep on repeating ChatGPT. And I think my other co-founder did mention legal, finance, and medical can't be a general AI. It has to be very specific. It has to be verticalized. In medical, either you have a cancer or you don't have a cancer. In legal, either the cases are right or it's not right. So when we talk about AI, we're just talking about legal AI out here. I would just like to add, so we are also, one of the things in the labs which is happening is preparing yourself before you actually meet the judge. So how does the AI do it? It has all the records of the judgments which that particular judge has given, and it processes the thought process behind of what is the logic based on which he is given the judgments. And the AI prepares you before you actually reach the court as to what the judge is going to think. So that's the AI we are talking about. It's just not restricted to ChatGPT. One more case which we are actually working on, you'll actually find our tool on WhatsApp. So you are late in the court, or there is suddenly you need to find something when you're in front of the judge. You don't want to open the app. You just open the WhatsApp. You type the use case, a couple of lines. It'll summarize in the IRAC way. It'll give you the summary, the conclusion, and the cases which you are going to discuss on that topic. So that's WhatsApp for you, preparing yourself in front of the judge. So that's what we are talking about. This is exactly what is going to happen, and it's going to do it in the next 6 months, and it's not going to take years.
Thank you. Okay.
Doctor,
Okay.
just before you come in, please,
Okay.
just so I can give you another perspective so that you can answer the questions together. A major challenge, especially from Olamide's point and Greg's point, is about authenticity of what we get from AI. Now, tell us, of course, I know you're an expert in artificial intelligence in legal practice. Tell us about digital evidence authentication. Is there a way to be sure that what I get is exactly what it is? Because I have a personal experience where I have done a bit of research trying to pull up an authority using ChatGPT. And then it gave me Nigerian authorities, Nigerian cases, but with citations. But then I went to the library and just said, let me confirm. I'm still trying to move from the traditional style to the digital style. So I said, let me confirm what I have found here. And I realized that they don't exist.
You have to keep verifying. You must
They don't
verify.
exist. Now, it takes me again to another point. There can also be inauthentic evidence. So someone takes a picture of me here and then transforms it into something else, builds a case on it, develops a story, and is able to even secure a judgment and then force it against me for something I know nothing about. And that, I'm sure that is in line with what Samir spoke to us. Yes. So please, Please tell us about digital evidence authentication, especially as a challenge to the adoption of legal technology. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I think this is a very good question. I think for digital evidence, there is a two sort of digital evidence. For education or for legal research, for example. Legal research, if you rely on AI or ChatGPT, for my experience or for my opinion, you have to go back for the references. Even because anytime ChatGPT, they will give you information, they will give you some cases, but ChatGPT for me is still fed by human. And then when we get information for legal research, you cannot use this for books or for essay or for research, for education, but you can use it for your mind or for your awareness. For the cases, for example, if you look at for legal research, the ChatGPT will give you for cases, case number, case between two something, with case in the High Court of Dubai or Abu Dhabi, they will give you the number. ChatGPT will summarize this is case for you, but don't rely on for his summary, because you have to go back for the real case and to read that is the case what it's saying. Because sometimes he miss important information. ChatGPT miss important information for the cases. For example, also for if you ask him for laws, new laws, maybe he is not updated every day, not updated every year. It's just is updating maybe every 2 years. Many laws, as I told, many laws, many regulations is enacted within 1 year before ChatGPT updated. Yes, please, yeah. please. This one, it happened always. That is why, but for other things, that has told you, let us tell me, here in Dubai, we are not speaking about ChatGPT. We are not speaking about AI. We are speaking the electronic evidence or the digital evidence. Digital evidence, for example, here, emails, maybe in informal evidence like WhatsApp, and also we have electronic contracts and digital or a smart contract. This is a smart contract, for example. A smart contract, this is a big challenge for people, expert of lawyer of contracts, drafting contracts. Now, after electronic contract, now we move to a smart contract. What does it mean, a smart contract? A smart contract now, in level, the parts are drafting their agreement in natural language. They give to computer programmer. Computer programmer change this is natural language to coding language. The coding language they insert in blockchain. Blockchain for verification and self-execution. This self-execution, if any dispute happen with this digital contract or smart contract, now here in Dubai, and also the UAE evidence law and procedures law, they will accept this is evidence. And then also the court will accept to go back for blockchain record.
Please allow me
to take this information. That is why I think this is for digital issue. But what happened with now was we are going for challenge for these issues. Challenge now, we are looking for cybersecurity very high cybersecurity for this is digital evidence as what I was saying. That is why I think for myself, if here also we have another challenge, as I told you, now here we are moving with I talked to about a smart contract, but many jurisdictions, they are not adopting a smart contract. And now commercial transactions, now they're contracting. When you go to the court, they will not find any regulation to manage. That is why I think there is our problem now is missing laws. In some countries, missing laws, as she said, missing laws. That's why we as a lawyer, I have recommendations. We are looking for structural laws and also for a new laws to adapt what the AI moving. We have to move with engineering, fasting, of developing AI as a regulation. But we are not going just to stop, and next year we'll see what happens. This is what my
Thank you very much. Greg, you've listened to the challenges.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have anything to add in terms of solutions this time.
I mean, what it boils down to, very, very briefly, is there are ways to validate for every single workflow. So it's a meaningful question to ask, but it's not, and it's a meaningful challenge to control for, but it's not hard. If you're talking about doing research with ChatGPT, then you shepherdize the cases. And when they don't exist, you see that. You've got to be a lawyer, you've got to read the cases. When we're talking about, in my world with e-discovery, and we use generative AI, we just wrapped a document review using no people, using generative AI. You use statistical sampling at the front end to say, what does the finish line look like? And then you use validation at the end to say, yes, it looked like we expected. And if it doesn't match up, then you investigate. And so, yeah, it's a meaningful question, but with a professional, it's not hard to deal with. You mentioned falsifying evidence. Well, it may look like you in the photo, but to a forensic expert, this is not a hard thing. You can look at it in 10 minutes and see the breadcrumbs that say somebody came in and changed this. So what I want to make sure, for those who are not PhDs and are not diving into the minutia of it, is don't let this scare you, because the folks that do this every day, these are not hard challenges to control for.
Okay, I just have a question for Greg. In terms of forensic evidence, we've talked about falsifying evidence and how experts can deduce that very quickly. Mm-hmm. So, question is, in a place where I practice, unless we have high value cases, expert evidence is not exactly what judges will rely on, mm-hmm. or unless you request as a sophisticated party. Now, if what Ugo has mentioned happens to Ugo, and Ugo has to be out of pocket by a few dollars to defend himself, how can your technology, or solution assist Ugo, who has just a few dollars, my friend?
I think he's doing just fine, and that'll reflect in the bill that we send him. But it's a math equation. You look at how much is this worth, and then it's table stakes. You have to either duck or you run. And if you're going to fight it, forensic experts, they charge a pretty penny, but it pales in comparison to losing the case. I'll give you a very tangible example from my world, not with a particular piece of evidence, but how do we manage the entire portfolio of evidence. I tend to boil what I do down to this. We take a lot of data that doesn't matter, and we find the small amount of data that does within it. I often say, investigations discovery is like looking for needles in a haystack. So the first thing that you have to do is, we don't care about the hay. We care about the needles in that haystack, right? So you've got to quantify how many needles do we have. And that's a very easy process. It takes 3 or 4 hours. It'll cost $300 or $400. And now I can tell you not just how many pieces of hay we have, but how many needles we have. And that's incredibly important. Then with a little bit of project management, we can tell you the next step. Where are those needles, and maybe more importantly, where aren't they? And now we can take large portions of that haystack and separate it out. and it's gone. It's no longer part of the task. And now we can use AI like a magnet, and we can pass it over that haystack, and we can draw the needles out from the core where they're hidden right to the edges where we grab them. And so the question becomes this: would you rather do what everybody's doing now, which is just sifting through hay and finding whatever needles they come from, or take a process-oriented professional forensic approach to it? And we literally just did this. We shrunk a 300-hour project. We do projects both big and small, and this is a fairly small one for us. What would have taken 300 hours could be done in 150 hours by the process I just mentioned, but we didn't do that either because we used generative AI, and we were able to get it done in about 40 human hours. So, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. So let me just add what, a use case. Well, we've all gone through due diligence, right? Where there are, either you take over a company or there is a merger happening. And, very recently in India, there was a huge two media companies who wanted to merge, and they went to one of the lawyers, and they're our client right now. They said 800 billable hours, right? We have a solution on due diligence, which we're going to roll out in just few months, where on the data room, the 800 hours which we were talking about, a data room is where they're going to store all the information, legal, finance, tax, everything. That's going to take us 20 hours. So there is a human intervention absolutely required, but the churning of the data from the data room, right from reading all the contracts to some evidence, from the criminal perspective, if there are any photographs, you can just pick up some evidence, to OCR technology where it's not an English document, it's probably in a different language. It converts into an English readable document. So a due diligence which takes 800 hours can be done in 20 hours. That's a use case which we're talking about.
Okay, thank you very much. Our time is almost up. But before we go, nobody wants to go to litigation if you're not sure of enforcing a judgment. The world has become a global village, and people, especially companies, have assets all over the world. How does legal technology and AI assist in asset training? And this is an open question to any member of the panel. How can we be sure that, okay, I go to court against company A, and then I secure a judgment, and I am sure that at so and so country in this jurisdiction, I would be able to enforce that judgment and secure an asset whose value, or which has a value that covers the judgment sum.
This is one of the things, I'm sorry, I'll jump in here first, but that is very exciting about what we do. One of the things that I often say, and I hope that this is a universal idiom, but the tail can't wag the dog. The dog's got to wag the tail, and oftentimes in litigation, the discovery tail wags the litigation dog, by which I mean there is so much work and cost in running a case that we look at the amount of the judgment or the likelihood of securing it, and we say this is untenable, and we can't bring the case, or we have to settle it too early for too little. And so if you think about what we've been talking about, taking 800 hours and turning it down to 20, what that means is the legwork is now lower. And so we can accept more risk. We can pursue lower value cases. We can pursue cases where the likelihood of winning or collecting is lower. And what this means is better process and expertise in AI means better access to justice, and people can get into the courts where otherwise they'd be bullied out.
Okay.
So something relevant to this, I'll just add to Greg, and I think I'll give it to another panelist. This is something which, we had a conference in India, and we had the Indian Railway Minister speaking out there, Mr. Ashwini. And post that, his speech, he just met us briefly, very brief, where he said there are almost close to 1 million or 700, almost 0.8 million cases, Indian Railways, and almost 600,000 cases which are relevant, which are concerning accidents, and it's still pending. So he said, how can you help us? So just consolidate those cases, because it's almost of a similar nature. And with the help of AI, you can actually have a faster justice. Just consolidate those cases, give faster judgments, print the orders, and that's it. So these are live cases which we are trying to solve in India. So just to resonate to what you're saying, this is a faster justice.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. Thank you. In my practice, the question you've asked is very interesting because we have, and the question shows the collaboration that must happen between human and AI. In that regard, I mean that if you have to enforce judgments, there is the theoretical aspect of things where you are able to make an assessment, predict outcomes, but generally, even the outcomes that you predict are just predictions. What will happen eventually, will depend on what you do, practically speaking. And so in that regard, we have the likes of network firms that assist with things like asset tracing. I'm sure we've heard of the ICC FraudNet Society. We know of Lex Mundi, of which my firm, Udo Odomambelo Sage, is a member. We're also members of the Bowman's Alliance network in Africa. And so what that helps to do is you're able to share, you use technology, digital communication, for instance, you're able to share information, whether on a no-name basis, with your network to ask questions about enforcement, reciprocity of enforcement of judgment in other jurisdictions, local content, local information about the judgment debtor, the assets they may have in your country, and how you are able to assist them in enforcing those judgments. And so what AI or technology assists to do in that regard is when you're putting together pleadings or paperwork to put before a judge who, the local judge who is supposed to assist, enforce the judgment or give an order of enforcement for that judgment, what you're doing is you're using technology, you're using the network that you already have, the information gathering that you have worked on to put together the paperwork to assert that these assets are worthy of being enforced against in your local country. And you are able to provide support to the network of lawyers that you're working with in other jurisdictions. So I believe that enforcement is something that, enforcement of judgment is something that lawyer to lawyer, firm to firm, we're able to support each other on. And I was just saying to, during the networking session, I was saying to someone I met about a work that we got from Dubai here, where the work was recommended to us in Nigeria, and it relates to enforcement as well, where the law firm here reached out to us to say, hey, we have a potential judgment that we are seeking to enforce against a judgment debtor, and we want to know whether they have assets in Nigeria or in other jurisdictions in Africa that you can provide us information on. And all of this will not happen without technology. So I am pro-technology, and we are here for it. It's going to be an exciting time in the future as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think the implementation of AI with litigations, I think that is the very important collaboration between technical people and lawyers. I think here, if you look at a country who is using the smart litigation or digital litigation here, the court has a very good team for digital team, for an expert for digital information, and also lawyers. But always we need to train the judge, lawyers for technical programming for AI. And also we need to train our technical people who specialize for digital, for AI, for computer, to know that at least about the law process, the legal process, our digital litigation, because we know that this is collaboration important. If there is no collaboration by these two teams, AI will not work. No one can work with that one. Also for me, I think before this one, we have to start from now, start for legal education, Legal education very important in universities, even high studying. Because now, if you have that, you look at the universities, faculty of laws, they are not adopting AI laws or what is happening now. But for me, I think we start for awareness. Awareness is between, that for us as lawyers to understand what is going on for AI law and digital litigations, and also our technical people to know that. This is number one. Number two, I think there is a big challenge. A big challenge is why I'm still thinking about the laws. If you look at as that now, we are move forward in step 5. We're going for step 5 of AI. But now, if you look at many countries around the world, now they are not amended their legal civil proceeding laws or evidence laws. And then when you get the case, for example, when you take the case that is the case for enacted by AI, the problem maybe will not law in some country law cover to your case. It happened. I think that we don't have enough time to look at some cases. People they didn't find justice for their cases. That's why I think now, from this room or our colleague lawyers, I think I recommend at least to save some times to understand, to read, for AI law. For myself, and I spent more than 2 years to write my book for AI law and smart contract in AI. But I'm looking for a difference, and it's people who are author who speak about that is AI law. I didn't find someone. You can find someone in America, other one in Australia, and other one here in Dubai, something like that. That is why, for me, I think for legal educations, for practicing law, that's why we have to, to go for AI, because now AI as an engineering they are moving very fast and they are not stopped. I don't like when some days will come with AI, discover something or invented something, and also they will not find the law to cover this is what is inventing. For example, now we are moving for a autonomous car, or self-driving car. Self-driving car now is self-driving car now. So there is no laws covering how it drive, what the accident happened, who is responsible, a lot of things. That is why I think now, for myself, we have as a lawyer, we have to discuss, to think about what will happen. Is the engineering will not stop, and that we are now we will still stick for our laws. That is why this is a big challenge for us.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We are gradually coming to the end, but just before we take the questions from the delegates, I think this question is for Greg and my friend from Lex Legis. Let's talk about cost in 1 minute, cost and funding. I know that this technology you're proposing to us, or which we are adopting, is going to be costly. It's not free. And I'm sure by the time I ask for your quote or for your invoice, your email will be a heavy one. But are there funding options? Is there a payment plan? Is there something you want to tell everyone here about alternative funding to technology in law practice?
Okay, so I'll take this one. I'm full of figures out here. Well, I think I give you an example, right? 800 billable hours to 20 billable hours. I don't think so when you're going to use technology, and if you're able to complete the work in 20 hours, you're going to bill them 800 hours. There is going to be some efficiency or a lot of efficiency which is going to be transferred to the client. So even if the technology is costly, but that saving in terms of the time which is taken, the accuracy which is taken, is going to be given to the consumer, right? So if you ask us what are the pricing for my product, we kind of in a price discovery mode. But again, the DeepSeek has completely shocked the world, where for a chat GPT paid version, which right now everyone is paying some $20, and there is an upgraded version for $200, a DeepSeek is talking about 10% of that cost and lesser hardware. So it's just going to get cheaper. The technology is just going to get cheaper, much accurate, much faster.
Okay. Just before Greg responds, yes.
Yes, I was going to share a thought about probably blended billing. This is something that just came to me as we were speaking. I think that based on what you've said, I think clients might be provided the option of with or without AI assistance in the billing structure that we might be thinking about. And for everyone in the room, I think it's just a forward-thinking an option that we can frame. I don't know what the workings will look like, but it's something that even I am able to take back home. So where you have AI-assisted or technology-assisted support, you have your billing rate at a certain set at a certain range, and where you're supposed to use just human work, we have the numbers, the credentials will be there as to veracity. You're able to verify things, and the hours for that will be different, and you're charging at a different rate. And then at that point, the blended billing is going to assist the client to make the decision on which to take, and would also assist you as a lawyer with the alternative funding for technology that you're talking about, because some of that cost will go to the client. That's just the contribution I wanted to make.
Thank you, Greg.
Yeah, to that end, the cost is irrelevant because it is a investment. So you spend $50,000 on a project, not because you want to spend $50,000, but because now it doesn't cost $100,000. To your point, Ola, if you move away from the billable hour into alternative fee agreements, unit-based pricing or project-based pricing, now you can marry these two things where you don't have to have the client believe that it's an investment, because you can simply say, as we do with our clients, I can guarantee you that this is going to cost 50, and if it costs 100, I'll pay for it out of my pocket. And so now it's clearly not an expense that's extra. It is clearly an investment that provides extra context at a lower price. And we certainly wouldn't make that guarantee if we didn't know predictably that, yes, this investment is absolutely worth it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much to every panelist on this stage. We are now open to questions from the audience. Anyone with question can raise his hand, and we will send the microphone to where you are. I don't know if there are any questions. Okay, in the absence of any question, thank you very much for your time. I hope to discuss this further with each one of you after this. But I also want to thank every delegate here for listening to us, and for the organizers of the World Lawyers Forum 2025 Dubai for inviting us and giving us the opportunity to speak. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I would now request the moderator to please present the panelists with the token of appreciation. Yeah. Picture. Yeah. Maybe I can. Yeah, that angle is better.
It's for the moderator, so I request all the panelists to. You can have a group photo for this session.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Thank you, panelists. Our next session focuses on lessons from high-profile corporate litigation cases. Moderating this session would be Mr. Kishore Jayachandani, Managing Director, Caveat Capital UAE, with our panelists Ziyad Salom, Managing Partner, Salom and Partner UAE, and Mr. Varun K. Chopra, Managing Partner, VKC Law, India.